Infernales. We've been playtesting the game for a while, but never with the cards that you have in front of you now. So our friend Beck Hudson just drew the cards with the borders on them. Each border is a suit and the sayings on them and the art inside of it. So we're really excited to just playtest it this way. To get us started, Claire is going to run you through sort of like the world that we're going through, and then I'll get into sort of like the game mechanics for character creation.
So the game is Negocios Infernales. If you imagine a world not too unlike ours during an equivalent time as our Spanish Inquisition, and imagine a court like the court of Isabella's Spain, imagine the grand costumes and the courtesies and manners, the formality, the treachery. Now imagine that aliens come down, and they've got their little dealy boppers, and they're super smart, and they're like, "Hi guys," and the court of Isabella, or in this case, it's the court of Reina Resoluta. She's the queen of the Espada de la Diosa, the sword of the goddess. The court asks the alien, "Are you devils?" And the aliens say,
"See the dealy boppers,
sure, we're devils, why not?
Yeah,
we'll be whatever you want to call us." And the Inquisition gets very excited, and they're like, "Will you give us infernal powers in exchange for our souls?" And the aliens are like, well, we do want to absorb you into the cosmic consciousness, which I suppose could be your equivalent to hell, so sure. So a bunch of former Inquisitors become wizards, which is what you're all playing. You play the wizards. You have contracted with an alien/demon for a great power, and you are all wizards in the court of Reina Resoluta in Espada de la Diosa. This is a very early, I just sketched this map to give us a kind of idea of the Spain, the alternate Spain, Espada. Our neighboring war country is Pelea. There is La Joya, the Jewel, which is the kind of harbor, and then there's all sorts of oceans and islands and things, which as we get into different, if other people play test and or do different games, you can like look at the map, you're like, I want to play on Perla today, like where the queen is, or the garrison of the octopus, where the octopus is the queen's army, dwells. So it just depends on what kind of game you want to play.
So we're going to basically be the source book for you, just because you won't have the source book side for you today, and we'll help you pick out places and things like that. But when the game is finished, there'll be a source book that gives background on some of this information and the different locations and stuff. For right now, though, I'm going to ask you to hand me back the cards that I gave you just to look through. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin with character creation. So, the way that you're going to create your character is very different from D&D or any other dice-based game that you've played. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to discover who your character is through the magic of the cards. So thinking is sort of like a tarot reading, where you're going to understand the past, present, and future of your character by reading into 3 characteristics. One is your motivation. So you're going to put a card here that is going to be your character's motivation. You can think of that as sort of like when an actor is sort of like getting instructions from a director, and the director's like, "Tell me what your motivation is, kid." And then the actor explains it, and that's what they use then to help them through the scene. So it's like, what drives your character? Downfall, think of it sort of like the subconscious desires of your character that will lead to ruin if not checked. So, your hamartia, your fatal flaw, the thing that makes you, stay up at night wondering if you'll ever get caught, kind of thing. And then your magic. So basically, this is based on both your motivation and downfall. Sort of like you look at those characteristics and then you draw a card and you'll be like, okay, this is what my character would have bargained their soul for. Remember, they're not really bargaining their soul, but that's what they think they're doing. So there's a dramatic irony there. And so like, based on the motivation and downfall and the card that you put there, you're going to be like, okay, this is what my character does. So like...
May I say a quick thing about the cards?
Sure.
So the cards are called La Baraja del Destino, the deck of destiny. And there's 6 suits, which is because the aliens think of humans as pieces.
This
like
is a
if you
suit.
put all of these things together, you make a human. What do you put together? Sangre, blood, carne, meat, hueso, bone, aire, air or breath, rayo, lightning, the spark of life, and lagrimas, which is tears, but like saltwater or brine. It's sort of like, oh, a human is made of these things, and they make the deck of destiny. But of course, humans are much more complicated than that.
Right. And so what you'll do is you'll take 4 cards, you'll keep 3, give them back to me. So you'll pick your 3 favorite cards, and you'll put one each in motivation, downfall, and magic, and then you'll interpret it. So with your pen, you'll write down what your motivation is. So just to give you an example, let's say I drew this card. This card says, inaction is the death before death. As a motivation, you could say things like, oh, this is a person who is scared not to act. And so almost like an Alexander Hamilton kind of character, writing like you're running out of time, you know? Or it could be the other thing. This person is sort of like the calmest person you've ever met, and, you know, they basically act very calmly and very slowly because they understand the value of action. You know, you can interpret it
or any of
different
a
ways.
dozen or 100 other ways to interpret it personally.
If this was my downfall, I might say like, oh, inaction is the death before death. This is the person who gets paralyzed sometimes at peak moments, you know. This is the person who just forgets to act when they should be acting, or something. You can interpret it wildly in different ways. If this was my action, or this was my magic, I might be like, aha, I can make people stop. I can, you know, basically paralyze them in place so that they, or I can basically demotivate them so they become suddenly depressed and incapable of action, or any of a number of things. You can use any part of this card to help you. You might be motivated just by the skull in that eye. So you can just use the artwork if you want to, any small part of the artwork, the saying by itself, or just be inspired sort of like by the general hueso idea. So, you know, if you think about sort of like the bones of life, you know, and how, you know, you can think about necromancy or other things like that, you can even just use this part. So any part of the card or all parts of the card to help interpret who is who. So, let me pass out some cards to you, and we'll just get going here. So,
a lot writing on this chat.
I already did this wrong. I am so sorry.
Oh, well,
just because I'm
playtest over. Disaster.
Yeah, we're doing this over because I forgot one of the
Game
most
fails,
important-
and
yeah, exactly. Playtest is over. Cut. No. So like this is like one of the most important things that I almost forgot. In the Baraja del Destino, you always draw your own destiny. So I spread the cards before you, and you draw 4 cards. So any 4 cards, you always do this. So whenever you draw a card, there's one. You need 3 more.
A powerful draw, young Diego.
Yeah, I like that. Passionate. There you are. Take it from anywhere. Don't be influenced by the way that I'm fanning. Just wherever. Yeah, like just grab from wherever. Takes those 2. Excellent.
all right.
Take 4 cards.
You take 4, babe?
1,
She took 2
2,
at once.
3.
She's cool like that.
Spread them out
4.
yourself. Take 4, please.
All right, here we go, chat.
So there's one rule that I'll tell you as soon as everybody has their cards that we have to abide by before you finally keep, and it's that you have to have at least 3 cards of different suits.
Okay.
So the borders have to be different from each other. So you have that because you have these 2 that match, but you can keep these 3. So, you know.
So we have to keep 3 of
you have to
different
keep
suits.
3 of different suits.
All right, well, that's easy then. Oh, actually, wait a second, though.
Yeah, just you have to decide which.
Yeah, that's true, that's
All
true.
my suits are different, so that's
Carlos, who draws the alien one?
Person at land.
Oh, okay.
One person.
I like that.
But we'll make time do it today.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And then we hand you back the one that we're not going to use?
Yeah, each give them back to me. They just go back in the baraja.
Okay. And then we place out. All right, let's see, chat. What are we doing?
Woo!
Turning that to the deck then?
That is grim.
that's the only thing I can
Carlos, here's the one return to the deck.
Okay.
What's your name? Kyla, from Kyla.
Hi.
Okay, so
Thank you.
amnesia.
Greg and Jeremy, and I'm Claire, like Carlos, and
That's what I got, right?
So remember, this is like a fantasy world, so you can make this anything you want. So like, it might be like they kill themselves, but they wake up the next day or something like that.
It's depressing. I don't like
Yeah, maybe think about that a
fix
little.
it.
a little dark.
Yes, yeah, like our alien.
A little bit.
Diego went right to light darkness.
Dark is dark business.
I like it though. I mean, but you know, You can do whatever. I think fairy tale like, so the surrender with care can
C.
all sorts of things.
That's going back.
All right. So then you just keep those cards in your slots there and write down, please, what your power is. If anybody needs any help or whatever.
And also, I'm sorry, also motivation and downfall, right? Like we're
That's
writing
right.
those down too? Okay.
You write them down.
One short sentence, you can do this one thing.
Yeah, it's like one. It doesn't even have to be a sentence. It could be a fragment, But
Yeah, like for me, look,
but I write quickly.
like this is what I do.
yeah. So like Diego's is very minimal but clear,
And I write like 5 sentences with like rhyming couplets in
Yeah.
iambic pentameter because I roll that way.
Right. We tried to require that, but it seemed a little burdensome.
Burdensome. You say bug, I say feature.
Like they surrender with prayer, so they sleep,
Yeah, So basically, you can put.
and then they die.
All right, here's my motivation.
Ooh, I know.
You're the best, Diego.
It's a sleep that
let's
you don't
see.
wake up from.
Sleeping sickness.
Children of Saul.
Or suicide, so maybe they sleep.
Let's see.
I mean, like, you would have to use your power very carefully then, So.
This one's easy.
Yeah, but when you're thinking about your powers, think fairy tale, think weirdness, like think about all those things where, there might be some cost attached to it based on the motivation and downfall, so. Oh, so in the heart disease, a disease
Is there
isn't
money
a
in this
downfall
game?
because it's not like a failing.
Is there
of your
money
own.
in this
So
game?
it's like it's
you
not a
can make up
physical
your
thing.
money.
It's
What's your
more
currency?
like a
Well,
personal
I
thing.
dashed upon the
is
wrong
a-
side with gold. I was thinking my motivation would just be gold.
That's a good idea.
That's great. Agreed.
I mean, it goes with Spain. Once in Spain during the Inquisition, the Isabella wanted to pay off the Pope because she didn't want the priest to have so much
Downfall.
power. So she took away some of the power of the priest, and to apologize to the Pope, she sent him a 3-tiered diamond tiara with like 80,000 diamonds, and it's like, sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry about
Took away
that.
your priestly power, but have a diamond tiara.
Let me just emphasize for downfall that it's not a physical thing. So it's not like you're missing an eye or you have a disease or whatever.
What about if I eat sugar, like my organs?
You're addicted to sugar. That's all right. So like, basically something that is
What about like love? I'm just thinking like, what are your organs? It's just something like with an.
yeah. So what are your organs plotting? So if this is your downfall, it could be like you can't control your impulses, like the things that come, like sometimes your gut tells you to do something, like you have impulse.
All right, Chad, so you got it? So we got motivation.
Or impulse control is fun to roll.
That's my motivation, right? And then my
If you're
downfall.
vengeful and you have poor impulse control, you're killing people.
And then magic.
Potential's better than all.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And I'm going
And-
to turn into birds to rip apart enemies.
I love that.
Also, Chad, let me know if it's buffering or if we're okay, sound-wise.
The scavengers win everywhere, so I said turn into birds to rip apart enemies.
That's lovely. That is just great.
Which kind of reminds me of like Dracula, instead of bats.
Instead of bats, you become this monstrous rock-like creature.
We wait on the name and the role in court, yes?
Yeah,
To-
hold off on that,
Okay.
and I'll give you the next part.
Gotcha.
So we're moving along nicely, though. Thank you so much. This is very, very interesting.
Oh, this is like Aurora's wheel. Right?
Oh, it could be, yeah. And it could be interpreted.
You're on smartphone? Okay, good,
So
Echo.
that's one
What is this?
interpretation.
Is this sea? Like,
Oh yeah, so see the mermaids there? This is like ocean water and
brine. And,
yeah, like this is the brine. Yeah.
oh, so that's like a ship's wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, and because they're conquistadors, the wheel is eventually gonna break.
Yeah, and so that's one.
Because
That's
they'll
a good
travel there and then they'll die.
Yeah, but it's like fight back against that wheel.
Any questions this end?
I mean, I have a sort of question if this would work for my magic. I said my magic, how it would work was based on the card. If I like kill something or someone, the way that my magic would work was in return for doing that sacrifice, I get something back. I don't decide what it is. Kind of like fate would, in a sense.
Exactly.
Because deck of fate, and then
Something dies and you get something.
Yes.
A physical object, do you think?
Not necessarily. It would be like something to help me in a situation. Like if
So
I
then
was
it's
like,
like chicken and then the
I don't know.
She could draw for that.
That's exactly what I
I was
mean.
thinking like if I'm like either
Almost like a luck
bad
point in
beach or
D&D.
something,
You
get off
can-
this side of the shore, or
I love it, and you get to interpret that. It's perfect. It's perfect for this
If
game.
you're rolling to the court, this is just a suggestion you don't have to take. It could be Queen's Executioner or the Assassin. You could accumulate. That's how you accumulate.
if you don't find
all
it,
you
yeah.
can
So like you might think about what role you want to play that would get you the most of that magic.
These illustrations are great.
Yeah, they're really
So
pretty.
every time you kill somebody or
Yeah,
sacrifice,
our
you
friend
draw a
Beck
card from the
just
deck,
did a
and then you interpret
spectacular
the cards
job.
you
Yeah, they're
want.
great.
Because that way you're just like, then you'll be surprised too.
That's how to go with. I was like, I don't want to necessarily decide what favorite or gift is. I want
¿Quieres jugar después? Papito,
kind of like
¿quieres jugar después?
demons.
Yeah.
Demons bring something in a translation.
They do.
You don't get to decide what the demons.
Perfect.
So
Hi, Cooney.
Come on, mate. Got your receipt.
Kwame might have some work to do, but if you want to peek in and stuff, we're happy to have you.
I'm listening, man.
All right.
I'm listening.
All right. So it looks like Jeremy's working on his downfall, and then I will
Should we
go.
have Cam draw some motivation?
Not quite yet, because we still have to do roll important name.
Oh, right.
So while Jeremy's finishing up there, your role in court is going to be something that would fit in with the Spanish Inquisition and inside of like a Queen Isabel type court. So you can be anything from a scullery maid all the way to like the Secretary of War. Just think of some place where you would have to be in the castle every day. Like you're basically a denizen of the castle for some reason.
And it could be mundane or magical.
Right, so scullery maid or
Astrologer or-
right, but not magical because like your wizard identity is secret. So
Got it.
in this world, the magic is a little bit forbidden, a little bit like not exactly
Taboo.
what the Inquisition was like persecuting people for, and now the whole court is corrupted. So this part is secret. This is why you have an alter ego basically that you play, so that you can be available to the queen at any point, but nobody suspects that you have actually compromised yourself with the alien /
So
demonic.
nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Somebody had to say it. Thank you for getting that out of the way.
I'll fall in that grenade.
The Queen knows who her wizards are, but you have your alter ego.
Yeah, so all of you also know who you are. So you all know that you're wizards, and the queen knows that you're wizards, but the general population would be appalled to find out that you're wizards.
And we openly know everyone else's motivations and etc. Right? We know
Well, you know
everyone's
each other.
things.
So like this is all public information, and
Okay.
you've been around each other enough to know
Okay.
who you are. So like there's nothing hidden about motivations or things like
Got it.
that.
Oh, can we give ourselves a name?
Well, yeah, that's the last thing you'll do. Give yourself something floridly, outrageously Spanish, So the more last names, the better. Adding EZ
So just my normal name.
you could actually just
I will
use your
also
normal-
use his normal name.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I always have to play
Everyone's
this game with
Diego.
a Spanish dictionary open on my phone.
I was gonna
because
say.
I'm like, I want to be the flower of the star of the sea.
right. But so like feel free to Google and things like that, or call yourself Inez, whatever you want,
So roll in court first.
So yeah, think about your role in court, just like based on your motivation and your downfall and your magic. Like, what do you think is a good fitting role for you in court? It could be anything.
What are the possible options?
So, like for instance, you could be the peddler, the person who minds the bread. You could be the royal surgeon. You could be, like I said, a person who washes dishes.
A chancellor. You could be just a general advisor.
You
to
could
the
be
queen.
an advisor.
The executioner, the assassin, the spy master.
Right, the soup taster. So you
Yeah,
can.
Yes, you could be a cook nonstop.
You could
could.
be.
Can I be Inigo Montoya?
You could be in charge of the poison party.
That's a property that we don't want to get sued.
It just look.
Motivation, you killed my father.
You could be a swordsman.
Look at that revenge, impulse controlling, gut feeling. I got it all here.
Yeah. So
Soldier or
yeah, soldier, or like you could be the person who trains
General
the
populace doesn't know, like
the
a
people in,
general.
yeah, or like who was the sword fighter in Game of Thrones who was training?
oh, I never watched them.
Because it's a very
Like a
religious
martial
sport.
captain?
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
martial captain, or just like the royal fencer or something.
Oh, whoa, what's his name? The
Can I be
conquistador
a
guy.
torturer?
Yes.
See,
I mean, this is the Inquisition. There are torturers.
that's what I'm doing.
Wait, but how do you?
I had this
wanna be,
idea before
what's
Claire
his
came
name?
up with
What's
it.
his name? The guy who conquered Mexico.
I'm not going to be a gardener
Pizarro?
nonstop. What are you talking
No,
about?
not Pizarro.
Okay, so Pizarro. Who else might you be thinking of?
Hernan Cortez.
Oh, Cortez. Yeah. So, okay. You could be like Cortez, like an explorer.
If you work
General
with the book and you were in
Explorer.
charge of what's called the medicine garden, which is also the poison
See,
garden.
the problem is I can't Google. I'm going to have to ask Carlos for translations.
And that way you know a lot
You
about
can use my
poisons.
phone.
And
Can I?
you could- if the
Because I
queen
can't
was
do the
like,
same
look, I
time
need
when I'm
to
actually filming it.
Right.
Or even a
You could
word?
either
I don't
use
think
math
so.
or
We're
poison.
going with it.
Wait, why do you
Thank you very much.
Google?
All right.
He just wants to, I don't know, maybe figure out a name. But after Diego's a Spanish speaker too, he can help
Infernal
you.
business.
All right. Well then, yeah. You know what? So I need. Oh, sorry.
What do you want it to say?
Something about Master of Shadows. So
So, Skiamacher is Sciamacher.
that sounds German. Really? That's
It's a Greek word, but
Okay.
so like Skiamacher or Skiamatador. SCIA.
Skia Matador.
Yes.
That's like
Shadow Slayer.
Rodrigo de Skia Matador. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, is it de Skia Matador?
That D.
Okay, so it'd be
I forgot how to say shit.
so Rodrigo
I
de.
did too.
Yeah.
Is it? So you said I'm sorry. S.
Rey de las
Right.
Sombras.
So what? Oh, sombras.
Yeah, you could also put Rey de las Sombras, which is King of the Shadows.
Oh, that's good. What? So what was it?
Rey de las Sombras. R-E-Y.
Okay, wait. So not D. So Rodrigo and then R-E-Y.
SOM is Sombra.
Okay, well, hold on. Okay, R-E-Y.
R-E-Y.
Yeah.
D-E.
Yeah.
And then S-O-M.
Yeah.
B-R-A.
Rodrigo Rey de Sombra.
So De La Sombra.
Oh, de la Sombra.
De la
yeah.
Oh yeah, you can cut out Rey.
Not so no Rey.
Yeah, no.
Rodrigo de la Sombra.
De La Sombra. I like that. Yeah.
I just want to be the crow.
Rodrigo de la Sombra. I like it.
Because I feel like a torturer wouldn't go by his like fanciful name. He would go by his fear name.
I like it. Yeah.
I guess I just decided I'm a boy.
Basically, I'm Batman. All right. That's basically what it is.
Cuervo.
Cuervo. Yeah.
So would that be like El though? El like the
Cuervo.
crow?
Yeah.
I'm basically Batman. I'm basically Batman. All right,
basically
Batman.
Batman.
Basically, I'm Batman.
All right. So now what
but
we
cooler.
do, it looks like everybody's around here. What you do is you basically describe your characters to each other and give yourselves an introduction. Say your name, say your role in court, and then just briefly state what your motivation, downfall, and magic is.
Alright,
So,
I'll
Diego,
go.
yeah.
So my name is Enrique de la Mancha y la Espada del Valle. It's a long ass name.
Nice.
My role in court is general/explorer. My motivation is revenge. My downfall is impulse control and gut feelings. And then my magic is it originally started out as forced suicide, but that seemed a bit much.
Yeah.
So then I went with just like a sleep that you don't wake up from.
Yeah.
Which is.
Well, it's not sleep, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But like you go to sleep. And
But
then,
it
like,
sounds
you don't
better.
wake up.
They're still breathing.
Okay, great.
Well, they're still breathing.
They're
so
still breathing.
technically.
Oh, okay.
No, they're
Someone can
sleeping, but they don't wake up.
Yeah, so like in Mortal.
Oh, they are
Sleeping.
literally sleeping.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Sleeping
But
Beauty.
forever.
Yeah.
Got it. Is there any break to this sleep? Could there be a Sleeping Beauty situation?
Well, there definitely can be as you watch the
I
cards
gotcha.
play out.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Who's next?
Okay, pronounce it for me.
El Cuervo.
El Cuervo.
Cuervo, yeah.
So the crow, and I'm a torturer.
They probably.
Okay.
Motivation is going to be gold, greed.
Okay.
My downfall is I'm very pretentious. I think I'm better than all of you. And my magic is that I turn into birds to rip apart all of my enemies.
So do you
Okay.
turn into more than one bird at a time?
Oh, yes,
Like a
multiple-
flock?
Swarm of birds. Multiple birds.
Yes. I'm basically a ranger with a swarm of ravens, and I'm just attacking people.
Okay.
That's going to be a very flexible power, though. So you're
Basically
going to have a lot of
Strahd.
utility for that. So then, great, yeah.
All right. So I am Rodrigo de la Sombra. I am a spy master. The spy master. The Spy Master. My motivation is, so I had shields and delay the inevitable. So my motivation is to live forever against the creeping illness which stalks us all. My downfall is that my discipline and caution falls apart when I actually gain power and I get really petty and silly instead of, all these grand plans. I go from Batman to Robin. And then magic, I can cause anyone to forget what happened within the last minute. So I can create amnesia.
Very DM.
So I'm basically Batman until good things happen, and then I'm not.
Right.
That's basically me.
I love it.
And then you're the Men in Black.
Then I'm the Men in Black. Exactly.
So, Jeremy.
Desi Vagabunda, Royal Cartographer.
Ooh.
My
Vagabond's a
motivation.
great name for that.
Yeah.
My motivation, the end of days is already upon us. Destruction of all is on the horizon. Now is the time to grasp all you desire and march out into the dark.
Oh, I love it.
My downfall, with the draw of the end, moving backwards is wasted time, and still is stagnation. And by magic, all that is organic is meat in different forms, and naturally wishes to be united. I can increase the natural draw of gluttony.
You can
do what?
Increase or manipulate the natural draw of gluttony.
So what does that mean?
So it makes people like ravenously hungry and start eating and stuff?
And
Or
the draw between two
other?
different types of organic meat. So I could say you're hungry. I could say, Cam's meat calls to you. And
Oh dear, so you can basically force people to eat other people or rocks
anything that's organic.
any
So
organic
you can
material.
take one cow and one pig, and they could just go at it.
It's a family-friendly game. It's family-friendly.
And then,
Right.
yes,
So, I'm referred to as La Muerte del Destino.
Oh, dear.
The
You're
death
frightening.
of destiny.
Yeah.
So basically, I am the chief medicine gardener, so I work with all the medicines and specifically poisons.
yeah.
So
You tend the poison gardens, right?
Yes. For my motivation, I said that my wants, what I find are most important, is what motivates me to get the power. So I wanted to get up into the court, so that's why I started killing off the people who were above me with the venison.
Okay.
The downfall I have basically is that because I work with the medicines and the herbs, I know what can kill you, and having a mass amount of food means someone could easily have messed up. So I'm wary about eating food that I have not prepared myself, because there's a good amount of people who probably also want to kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, part of your downfall is lots of people want to kill you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for my magic, I kill something, whether animal or person, in return for something that fate decides for me. So I'll end up I can kill something off, and then in the future or in present, depending on where it allows, I will get something, whether I need it or not, in return.
So basically, you make a sacrifice and some boon comes your way.
And we would use the deck of destiny. We'd use it constantly to make decisions throughout the game, so she would draw for her boon.
Gotcha.
And so let me tell you how the basic mechanic of the games work, and this is a perfect introduction. So, okay.
Wait, draw for the alien real quick?
No, we'll let somebody else do that, just because it's not. Thank you for coming.
Enjoy your game. It sounds fantastic.
So,
Play.
yeah, we'll set up a different playtest for you. But so here's how the basic mechanic works. So let's say you wanted to check to see if your power worked. You want to try to sacrifice something and see if you get the bonus. So first you sacrifice something, so something's dead, and then you draw from La Baraja del Destino. Draw a card. Okay, so right now, this card, you can tell by the blue border here, is a different suit than any of the three than you have here. This is a failure. So what you have to decide is what terrible, horrible, unhelpful thing just happened based on this. And you can use the card to help you. So, piety is surrender. It could be that your faith in your power has now deceived you, and you suddenly have to, deal with the ramifications in the form of a dragon that's trying to eat you or something. What you do is you basically use the card to inspire you to come up with what dastardly, unhelpful thing has happened to you. So specifically two things, just to be very clear. One, your power doesn't work. Two, the story does not go your way. So you have to narrate how things have moved away.
Natural
from your
one.
goal. Yeah, it's basically this is a bad thing, but you get to describe how the bad thing works. But it's definitely a not helpful thing that moves you farther from your goal. If, however, you had picked this card, trees eat meat. This gets to help you in two ways. One, it succeeds. You're going to keep this card and put it here underneath your other card here. And you get to decide how trees eat meat helps your power. So like in your case, you're like, oh, my boon throws me something my way. And it could be that the trees come alive and join you in battle or something. You use the card to help inspire you to figure out how exactly you've been helped in this situation. One other little wrinkle though. If you ever have 3 of a kind of any of your 3, your contract has been fulfilled. That is, the aliens are like, okay, dudes, we gave you enough power, time to cash in. And now you have joined the Cosmic Collective, and you are now an alien.
Nice.
At that point, you keep all the cards in your hand, but you will take the card that is in here, in El Motivo Extraterrestre, and you will figure out what the motivations of the aliens are. Now, the aliens aren't opposed to your goal. We're going to determine what your plot is and stuff. They aren't for it necessarily either. They're weird. They're aliens. Who knows what they want? Like, they may want you to collect 5 cows or something. Like, you get to decide.
They may just like cheese.
Yeah. Who knows? So there's going to be 2 things in this. There's going to be a card, and there's going to be a little thing where if you're the first person to become an alien, you write down based on the card, in secret, what the motivation of the aliens are.
So none of us know it except for the first person.
That's right. You like someone's going to draw a card and you secretly put it in, then you draw out the card and you write this down.
So then if you become an alien, then you'll get to read and then you two will know what the alien motivation is. You start role-playing that, but everybody else still doesn't know.
That's right. So I think it would be funny if Kwame, you decided what the alien is. All I need
draw
to
a
do
card.
is pick a card.
So is the point for everybody to become an alien, or to stop the aliens' plan from...
No, you have a plot you're playing.
Our fate,
and all you consider as humans is that the aliens have given you power. You don't. You know that when you have 3 of a kind, when 3 of your big powers have been used, you know you'll go to hell, which is basically the aliens are like, join our cosmic consciousness. But going to hell may just mean eat all the cheese in Espada de la Diosa. Right. So that but you don't know that yet, and you're not playing against the aliens. Their track is different from yours. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. So basically now we have our alien agenda tucked away in this area here. It's time to discover what your plot is. So I'm going to give you just like a quick option, just in case somebody has a strong opinion. If you don't have a strong opinion though, the game is set up so that you can come up with a plot very, very quickly. And so normally what you would do is you would draw 2 cards to totally randomly determine your plot. But if any plot sounds good to anybody and we can kind of come to an agreement, we can just pick that one. So here are the 6 possible plots in the game. It is either a plot of war where Espada de la Diosa and Pelea are on the verge of war. And so it'll be a plot that determines whether war breaks out and how the fight breaks out. It could be a royal wedding. So Reina Resoluta is getting married to the king of Pelea.
Or the queen.
Or the queen. Yeah, you get to determine all of that stuff. And we want a very,
We're the
queer,
gender-neutral ruler.
Yeah, exactly. So you get to, basically make sure the wedding goes off flawlessly, but somebody wants people dead. Somebody does not want this wedding to happen. Or insurrection within Espada de la Diosa itself. There is an insurrection brewing, possibly because somebody's discovered the secret of the wizards, or whatever you get to decide. It could be courtly intrigue, that there is plots within the court itself in a struggle for power that's sort of like, the masses don't know about it, but within the court itself,
all the wizards.
There's war within the wizards and a struggle for power happening there. Or it could be a monster attack. The aliens have released all this power into the world, and some of it has manifested into something that is eating things.
And they've opened a wormhole, they could have ripped into space-time continuum. We don't know.
So the aliens have messed up in some kind of way. Now it is time for you wizards to fix it. Finally, the Tyrant Queen. It could be that Reina Resoluta has gone mad with power, and she somehow has to be reined in. Maybe that means murder. Maybe that means somebody taking over her position. Maybe that just means having a very stern talk with her. But that could be the plot. So, war, a royal wedding, insurrection, courtly intrigue, monster attack, or tyrant queen.
And so you would just
Yes.
you could draw, and then whatever suit it is, you match the suit. So carne, sangre, hueso, and then you'd match the suit, and then you'd get your plot randomly if you
So
want that.
we can either pick one, just because you can pick one, or we can pick randomly. Does anybody have strong feelings?
I like random.
Yeah,
I
random.
like random too. Yeah.
Random for sure.
Somebody pick a card.
Go ahead, dude. Fate is in your hands.
Rayo, a monster attack.
Yes, monster attack! Yay! All right, so we just
Yeah,
take the
just-
plot and we put it on top because now we have 5 acts within the monster attack.
That's right. So here we go.
Oh, we draw again?
Yeah, you're going to draw again. So like that was just to determine.
You draw. Kyla draws.
Yeah, we'll let
Draw?
Kyla
Okay.
draw this one.
Oh, no,
Kyla.
What is chat saying?
All right. So basically,
Jedi mind trick was the last one that they heard. They're trying to get a sense of what's going on.
Okay, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw for Act 1 here. And so you see Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5. We're going to draw the card that matches the suit here. So the suits are here along the side, and it will tell you what the plot is. And from that, we'll develop the actual monster that's attacking and what's actually happening.
All right.
So please have a draw.
Act 1.
All right. So
Oh, we can
the-
also draw one specific.
Hueso. So this goes here, and the plot thickener is it did not die.
And do we use the card to motivate that as well?
That's exactly right. So I'm going to write it did not die.
Whatever that means to you as players.
So we write that there so that you can have it here. But now the card basically says, will you die at once or by degrees? And so what I'd like you to do is to take a look at what's happening on the card, think about it did not die, talk to each other, and start thinking about what sort of monster attack might have happened here.
And we have not even defined the monster yet, right?
You get to define the monster using the card and your own imaginations.
It makes me
can stand up
in
and
my
move
like
around.
D&D mind. It makes me think of like really like low-level characters fighting a troll and not knowing how trolls work, and that they regenerate if you don't use fire or lightning. You know, like
Right.
I was thinking like a hive mind where there's something controlling all the small things. We killed the small things, but the big thing is still there.
I thought a little bit about a kraken, about the possibility of this creature that they've just, ships have been going down right in the sea, and you just see these little tentacles that pop up and go down, so you don't even know the size or scope of the monster. However, I'm good with any of the others too.
It'd be fun to have the big kraken and then like itty bitty krakens that can go on the land,
And maybe
Mini
the
krakens.
regenerative, but you get to pick however you want to do it,
All right. Could be the hive mind kraken.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, a hive mind.
mind flayer kraken.
A mind, yeah, hive mind, yeah.
A hive mind.
This is
kraken.
good.
All right.
We like this?
What do you
Go
think?
with that.
The hive mind kraken?
What do you think, chat? What do you think? Hive mind kraken?
So, this is a slightly earlier version, so like I have stuff on here that we don't need, but the hive mind kraken.
The Pulp Fiction like title of the sequence.
Okay.
Sounds like Cthulhu. Yeah, I mean,
So this
Sure.
is the threat that is known to you, but now you have to figure out like how you're actually going to defeat it. So here's how the game works now. The first scene that you have is with the queen. One of you will play the queen, and the rest of you will be wizards who are talking to the queen about the hive mind problem. There is no need for any kind of check or anything in this. You're just trying to basically flesh out in scene what the problem is and what the queen wants you to do about it. So basically, one of you will play the queen, and that person will be in conversation with everybody else, and you might, for instance, use the map to figure out where the sighting of the kraken was. Or you might, at any point, draw a card just to give you inspiration of like, what would the queen say to that? And use a card to just inspire you. So you can always use that. When you use it that way, you just deposit it. The way that the game works after that, though, is that for an act to end, Act 1 to end, at least one wizard has to use their magic power one time. One wizard can use their magic power multiple times and make multiple checks. Multiple people can use their powers, but at least one, and then you can decide to end the act. To win the game, everybody has to use their power at least once throughout the game. So it's an auto loss situation if anybody has not used their power at least once by the end of the game.
okay.
So the first scene is with the queen, where you discuss what you know so far about the hive mind and what the queen wants you to do. So who would like to be the queen first?
Oh my God, Jeremy, please be the queen.
I'll be the queen.
Take your ring and crown, my queen.
We used the crown last time. It's for the king of Kalea, but he might not be in this, so anybody can use
Yeah.
the props. And
His head is very large. This is great.
It's perfect. Now remember, you can always use cards to inspire you if you want to. But since you are the queen, you get to describe like how you have called these wizards together. You know, your character is also in the scene. It's just that you'll be sort of like an NPC this time.
Okay.
both an NPC and your wizard, maybe, or no?
You could do that, but you know, generally the queen is the focus. And so what you're trying to do is figure out like what you're instructing your wizards to do about the hive mind. Remember, be as flexible as you want to. You know,
He's already drawn a card.
Yeah. And so, set the scene for us. Where are we?
You have all been called to the royal chambers along vaulted, echoing chamber that you can hear your heels clicking as you march across with these very lavishly decorated guards, completely still on either end, these steel helmets that cover their eyes and their face, except for just part of their mouth, which is covered by a cloth. And the queen sits in her lavish throne with these very Amidala-esque headpiece going up, elevating her stature even higher than. What is this for?
Oh, I was just showing the back of the card that actually looks like that.
Oh, yeah, nice. There you go. I want to specify that my heels do not click because I always move silently everywhere.
Oh, okay.
I glide, actually.
Velvet shot, as they say.
And standing about 3 or 4 steps down on the dais, step dais that she sits on, is the royal cartographer Desi, and she says, "Welcome all. I have called you here. Of course, before we begin, I would like each of you, as is custom, to show your piety."
Kiss the ring.
I glide to the ring. The plot goes wildly off the rails across the crowd. No, God!
Troubling times, my dear wizards. It has come to my attention that the Guild of Navigation, run by the Royal Cartographer Desi here, has reported missing expeditions that have gone out as we have attempted to claim more land in past the La Jolla, what is it? The Jewel?
The jewel in her pommel.
Yeah.
The Jewel. As we sail out past the Jewel to claim more lands of the unknown and of the heathen. We have sent scout ships out and have found nothing but flotsam and jetsam.
In that order?
Jetsam and flotsam and...
There have been many tales of from fishermen and other sorts of strange creatures about. This shall not stand. If we stand and we do not expand, we perish. So, how do you intend to fix this problem and appease your loving ruler?
Murder it.
Straight to the point. Might I counter? I would say concentrated attack. Can we go underwater somehow? Find it. I could say I could turn into birds that could dive to maybe perhaps scout underwater.
Yes. Don't believe the Royal Engineers have anything that could potentially help you go underwater. They could get them working on it, but it might take too long.
Draw it out of the water instead of us going in.
Turn the Spanish Armada into submarines.
Yes, that was my point.
Nobody would really expect this.
We sail the Spanish Armada to the site and we blow it up.
So I kind of like, having descended into the shadows, like emerge again suddenly. That's always happening, like just just like,
Shifting of all the guards as you move.
And I'm just like, my liege, are we entirely certain that this is a monster that was naturally created and not perhaps inspired by one of our enemies that have been trying to get to the Spanish Armada now for at least decades?
I am not convinced of anything. I have an open mind, and for all I know, it could just be another armada with more severe naval power, which would be very concerning to me.
We sink it.
How do you sink the Kraken?
Well, we don't want to jump to conclusions saying it's a kraken. We're not really sure what it is. But we do know that whatever it is, Pelé is behind it, and we should inquisition them and murder their butts, take their land.
Spymaster, have you any information coming out of Pelé through your network?
There's always information, my liege. The question is which I trust.
Of course.
I kind of emerge behind you. And I say, but there has been chatter of late, discussion of things that they wish to do as our power begins to increase. It is entirely possible, my liege, that this Kraken, as we call it, may be simply a trick to bring our Spanish Armada there, dive down, and then destroy them all at once in one fell, and I appear behind you, swoop.
It's great.
This is grave tidings indeed. I would ask that you reach out to your networks and see if Pelea. If Pelea has had similar issues in the area with their armadas, if their ships are going missing, we can be more confident that this is not an attack of theirs. However...
Or we could show up, burn down their homes, take the land, and then worry about this mystical creature who's trying to stop my expansion.
I sort of, so I like appear behind you again, and I'm like, fascinating. But crude. If I may, my liege, I think I would be pleased to send my operatives out to discover this information. But if I discover that this is indeed an attack, have I your permission to undercut it?
Don't listen to him. He's trying to twist your mind. You know what those Pleiadians did to my father. They killed him, and I'm coming back for them.
Yes, we've all heard of the six-fingered Pleiad.
Finger bad.
I do not wish to incite a full-scale war. We are preparing for such an event, but are not quite at the point where we may be confident in our entire success. Reach out to your networks. I will prepare, in the event of information coming back, a small-scale excursion for you to go out and perhaps should such a thing be necessary. 3 ships, I think, should suffice.
Yes.
Very well.
As always, my voice echoes through the room. Your wish is my command.
All right, so that's the scene. And so basically, what you should leave within that scene is an idea of like what you're going to do in Act 1. And so I think it's pretty clear that it's a reconnaissance mission. You're trying to find out information. You've been given 3 ships, and so now as a group, you should be thinking about how can I possibly.
I was just going to say that. And the Santa Maria, those are clearly the 3
But
Americans never discovered.
Think about how each of your characters might use their powers this scene. So like before the act is over, somebody has to use their powers, but more than one person can use their powers, and everybody has to use it before the end of the game. So like the thing to think about is how you're going to use your powers all the different.
I have an idea for my powers for later.
Yeah.
And you've already kind of got a sense of what everybody wants and who might be allied with whom. For example, the medicine gardener is interested in drawing it out, and you're interested in diving down. You're both more reconnaissance. He's more kill, and you're more information. So make sure that you like learn your alliances and yes and each other.
Yeah.
But like it's very clear already that characters are emerging, and so like the story is already doing what it needs to. Don't be afraid of conflict with each other, because one of the rules is you can't use magic on each other. It will automatically not succeed against each other.
Okay.
Yeah, unless the person gives permission for it. So like you can accept magic from somebody else, but if you always have control over your character until the 5th act, and then things go a little more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should just sort of like converse and say like, here's exactly what we're going to do in Act 1.
I feel like a lot of us have powers that are going to be useful later, so figuring out who uses their power right now is going to be interesting.
I think the crow idea.
I could turn into like a bunch of seabirds and just go fly
To
out
leave
to
the throne
sea.
room? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, just do it right now.
We're going to do that active magic. You draw your card to see if it succeeds. If it doesn't, narrate that. If it does, narrate that.
Well, what
the
if we?
magic can technically succeed. She could turn into a flock of birds, but the plot would go horribly wrong, or she wouldn't be able to turn into a flock of
Right,
birds.
so the plot doesn't end until one person uses their magic successfully.
Oh, okay.
So like people can fail all they want until they become aliens, but the act doesn't end or can't
Wait, they
end.
fail until they become aliens?
So you might have missed
Oh
that
yeah,
part.
no, I got it.
Yeah,
So instead of like flightful birds, she turns into a flock of penguins.
yeah, or a flock of frogs.
I was going to say it might be more useful than crows in the particular case. Seagulls, ostriches. Yeah, that's a problem.
I
Yeah.
did specify birds and not a
Oh, not
specific
crows.
bird.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
I turned
So
into
any
birds
bird.
and
Any
not-
bird. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Any
And
bird.
so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should sail out on 3 ships. I think you two should be on the smallest, fastest ship.
Okay.
I think I should be on the one with the most guns. Okay. And I think you two should be on. Wait, what's your thing again?
Well, I am the royal cartographer.
Okay, so yeah, I think you guys should be like in the back, and you should like make sure that you relay like our positions and make maps of where it is that we're going. And you try not to kill anyone while we're on the
Or do. We can't tell you.
and then you go out and fly,
Yes.
do your thing, and I think that's good, right?
What do we all think about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Either. I mean, I'm assuming we would have some way of communicating between ships, like
Smoke signals.
or
Mirrors?
lantern
Pigeons,
flashes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could be all the pigeons.
Oh my God, yes. I'm all the carrier.
All the carrier pigeons. That's actually true. Can you turn into, I know it's a swarm,
Yeah.
different kinds in the swarm?
Yeah,
Could you
why
turn to
not?
like 2 penguins, 5 crows, 6 ravens, and a platypus?
Well,
Like,
my other thought was instead of like
And a helicopter.
instead of like me bursting into like a cloud of birds, that maybe I could just like cut a piece of myself off, and then that turns into, and I just leak birds, or like every piece of me can turn into birds.
I love this, and so you
Wow.
can always let your powers kind of evolve as the story needs,
Yeah.
and then you just check against it. So feel free to adjust
all right.
as needed.
All right.
Yeah,
So cut out like a little piece of your flesh.
yeah, so I could just like cut off an arm, and that turns into 6 birds.
No,
or
not the
something.
whole arm, just like here.
If she wanted it like a hummingbird, she could.
Yeah.
Just like whatever you get
Just
to
like a
decide.
potato peeler.
I don't like that. I really don't like
So,
that.
Somebody rehash the plan for me, just so I can.
Okay, ships.
Yep.
We're together for a reconnaissance.
Mm-hmm.
They are together for mapping it out so we know what we're doing. I will leave 2 fingers with you so you can bird to us.
Okay.
And you are preparing for war, as one does. And I am getting ready to burst into seagulls to try and find maybe our location.
I would also like to attempt to
Yeah.
use my power as well, so that we can stock the ships with extra shot and powder. I will adjust the desires and need for additional nutrients and nourishment for the crews, so that they require less, so we can pack more shot and powder.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you just gotta dull their appetite.
Okay,
So
so
you
that's
both
pretty
have to
good.
draw this.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll both draw. And so here's how this works. Basically, just to remind you, if you succeed, you get to do exactly what you said, and things go your way. So you get to tell
Right.
the story and continue it.
And to succeed, I only have to match 1 card on here. It doesn't have to be a specific card.
That's right.
Okay.
Any card. You don't have to match your magic.
Okay.
So any card is a success. If things don't go well, then you still have to do other magic later to figure out what's actually happening with Act 1.
Okay.
All right, so who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Okay. So then you.
My wife.
Hey!
There's a match. You'll keep this card. Remember, if you get one more egg, you're an alien. But for now, things go exactly as you planned. So in a moment, you're going to sort of like dictate what that is. But let's see what happens with your magic.
Hey!
All right, so both of these powers work.
Trees eat meat.
Every character is in the scene, and you'll get to talk and be your character, but these two are sort of like guiding us in terms of like what happens with the plot. So, Rhea, why don't you begin and tell us to see how your birds explode and what happens?
I like the fact that this is like a wind, like the breath card, so I'm flying on the wind.
Yeah.
But, so you guys all watch as the crow walks out to the very bow of the ship. And not having a Titanic moment like I want, I just fall, and you watch as his body pieces just kind of fall off of him and turns into these like kind of, they're gulls, but they're a little bit more nefarious looking, I would say. And he just starts taking off in a bird formation, I guess, like a triangle formation, as they're dive bombing the water ahead of them, as well as searching above to try and figure out where this creature is located in his main body, I guess.
Great. And so you'll be able to actually tell us what they find, but maybe, Jeremy, you'll want to sort of like dive in at the same time, kind of cross-cut and see what's happening.
So,
Meanwhile,
there's aboard the ships, there's a sort of a religious ceremony that Desi does, sort of a manna from heaven kind of thing, where he has gathered strips of tree bark in a very Princess Mononoke-esque, is tearing off chunks of tree bark and handing it to the crew, and speaking very flowery and poetically about how as the trees eat meat, so shall the meat eat the trees, and all shall be mutually beneficial. And it's very like a druid's good berry, only they're not actually getting all the nutrients they need. They just, their bodies think that they are.
so it's like a meh berry, basically.
Exactly, it's a meh berry.
It's like,
So I'll remind you both that you both get to advance the plot in ways that benefit the story. So we'll start again with Rhea. And so, like, what do your birds find?
Okay.
Ooh,
Oh, Kwame, your stuff's over here.
what do we find? I would say, I like the idea of finding like a coral reef that's kind of harvest like all these like egg sacs of these tinier little creatures that are coming up, and that's what we're fighting on the land, and that underneath we just see these large eyeballs, and the coral is actually on top of its back, and it's basically carrying around its babies and then shooting them out.
So you'll have to relay this to the entire crew.
Yes.
So now you also get to discover something somehow that relates to advancing the plot, and so like some kind of religious experience.
So I would say that
You just got a lot of new followers.
No.
You're turning into a deity.
I just had something in my head. Give me just a second. It is. So it has an effect like Space Jam, like Michael's Special Juice. Michael's Special Stuff.
not expecting a Space Jam reference today. I gotta be
Where
honest.
not only do they feel like they're getting all the nutrients, they feel like they are empowered by. I don't know if the worship of the devils is just an internal court thing. Does the rest of the like populace like serve like the god? The goddess.
Espada de la Diosa, so that's the religion.
They actually feel the surge of power from the goddess, the living goddess, and which increases their abilities on the ship and makes our journey faster. Everybody's prepared for a fight, prepared for whatever we find, and the cannons are loaded with extra powder for that extra blast.
Yeah.
And the men and women on the ships are ready to go.
So Rhea just left right now. What I was going to ask her to do is basically sort of like describe how she relates back to you all and sort of role play that out. But since we want to use our time well and stuff, I'll just sort of like say like you all now get her reconnaissance, where she tells you about the eyeballs and the coral reef and this monster that's carrying it out.
So we can kind of start the discussion.
Yeah, you can start the discussion of like what you'd actually like to do.
Also, you could decide to end the act and start the next step.
That's right. You can end it any time, but you do have to sort of like she would have to tell them what she saw. So that should be enacted, and then you can end the act, and that would Act 2 will be sort of like the response to that.
Which probably makes sense to do since we're an hour in, right?
Yeah.
So to,
just to keep moving a little bit.
Yeah. So like because if she sends her messenger pigeons with part of her body, then they would have to.
Well, but the pigeons have to come back. She has to retake her form, and then she has to tell them. And that's what I would ask her to sort of like role play out. But assume that she said those things to you.
Okay.
Discuss among yourselves.
All right.
How you
I
react.
think we should end the act.
No, but first you talk.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Well, actually, Ree's here now. So Ree.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
What you would do now is basically tell them what you saw.
Okay. Do we have a group name? Should we come up with a group name? Anyway, my dearest adventurers, I have found our creature deep underneath. I do not think he is that of Paleo, but of foreign. I have not seen anything like this before. It is a creature almost like a hermit crab with tentacles, holding all of its babies on its back and shooting them out. Quite a sight to see.
You say it has eyeballs.
Massive.
Blow them out! We submerge our cannons underwater and fire into the eye of the beast.
do you always fire your cannons underwater? I say from somewhere below the ship.
He's just got like a megaphone.
Just out of a straw, like out of the water.
Yes, unfortunately, the cannon placement is for ship-to-ship combat. But you had discussed in a way to possibly bring the creature to the surface so that we may more easily
blow its brains out.
Yes.
I mean, it's possible if you were able to turn into another type of bird and steal the babies, it may be motivated to come out to
But then she might
them.
become
How many babies are there? How many babies are we speaking of?
Egg sacks upon egg sacks is what I saw.
billions.
I mean, I would say in response to that, another idea would be to maybe use some of your potions and then inject the egg sacs with something so the babies die before they are born.
Or perhaps some of your more deific abilities could be used to suggest to the spirits of the ocean to encourage the creature to rise.
Wait, what's your power again?
Basically,
Make it rise.
There are. I could point out a few of these sailors who would be willing and faithful to undergo that sacrifice.
I mean, they don't have to be willing or faithful. I mean,
I'm sure you have herbs that can calm.
I'm not sure I need it, but I do.
Yeah.
So just mechanically, you could decide to end the act now and use the second act to see like what response you get.
I think that makes sense.
And so,
Yes.
if that's your
Let's
course
do
of
that.
action.
Yeah.
So-
Who drew the first act?
You two.
Right.
So one of
Well, I drew the plot.
yeah.
Okay.
Plot, first act, so second act.
So basically, as you're discussing this is sort of like the response that you get. So
Where's the voice of plot?
Air. There
it's
must.
not Western Squad.
So
There cannot be a soul. There must be a soul.
So Ire, the plot thickener is does it reason? Just in case you want to.
Yeah. So does it? I can't write back. Well, maybe I can.
Does it reason? I like that.
E is very hard backwards.
I was gonna say.
Wait, should we? Wait, if it does reason, then can't we just talk it?
You have to get it up first.
That's the
you have to get it up to-
Oh, all right, I have
it a mindless creature?
I have a thought then once we get
All
it
right.
up. That's
So
good.
you're going to use your power then to try to bring it up.
Let's see if it works. I hope I'm luckier than last time.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm not.
Okay.
no.
So this is what happens instead of getting what you want.
So I believe the answer is it does not raise.
Oh, that's true. Does that reverse basically that thickener then?
No. It's still reason. It's
Okay.
like, or you can still ask.
We just didn't appeal to its reason.
You
All
just
right.
whatever that fate thing, something has backfired.
So
Right.
you've sacrificed something, but it didn't work. So
Threw
what
him into the
happened
water.
instead? What happened instead of it working?
So I would have ended up killing the body and obviously pushed him on neck because I don't want that on death with us.
Of course not.
And instead of having the tide respond to bring up the creature that we want, it brings up all the things we don't want that want to eat us.
Oh,
So there's now like
Or other
sea serpents.
creatures.
Sea
Oh, yeah,
serpents
everything
that are
else.
not friendly.
Everything that's
Everything
not
got-
the
everything's not the
and that
monster.
are definitely not part of this kraken type.
It's not the only one.
Right. So sea serpents have emerged, and now you must deal with sea serpents.
blow its brains out.
This goes back in the deck.
Yes, this goes back because it was a failure.
So now's your time to shine.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
describe
kill away.
Did the sea serpents? Did the kraken also come up as well, or just the sea
I'm
serpents?
thinking more of, instead of the kraken itself coming up, it sent off its more minion
Little
type
babies.
deal.
Okay.
So it's not the babies, but it's
So these are its sea
things
serpent
that
minions.
will protect it.
Oh,
Like
Okay.
the feeder fish that like
Oh yeah.
go along the shark. It's the protection for the kraken.
Right.
Protective, like guardian sea
Yes.
serpents.
Okay.
The eels, Ursula's eels.
Yes.
Okay.
So, whenever this happens, you have to deal with the impediment. Remember, so like now that you have this impediment, you must deal with the impediment to move the plot forward. Have fun.
Serpents!
Oh dear. So I say.
How many cannons you got on this?
Yeah, exactly. I say we try to fight the serpents. Wait. Can you guys go over like your thing again?
Well, also,
you
so like
birds.
just navally wise, the largest, slowest ship is probably the one loaded down with the most weapons.
Yeah, which is mine.
Which would be ours. Then the medium is again the smaller number of cannons but faster, and then the fastest ship would have the least amount of cannons.
Yeah, so
Which
we're
is ours.
screwed. Or I
the
could
ki-
turn into eagles. Eagles do eat snakes. Would they eat sea serpents? Why not?
But then you become
big
big.
are you?
Yeah, would they be large enough?
Better be some big
how
eagles.
big are they?
I mean, you didn't specify it had to be a real bird. You could be a human-sized eagle.
A single.
You could be a rock,
Eagles are big
which is
A
That's
rock,
true. It
yeah.
could be a rock.
I like that.
Multiple rocks.
yeah. Rock and roll.
There you go.
Wait, what can you do?
I can make people. I was trying to think about. I can cause someone to forget what happened in the last minute, but I don't. Other than causing myself to forget.
Can you
I'm just like,
make the serpents forget that they're here? You don't know why you're up here. Goodbye.
Just confuse the enemy.
Oh no! Help the serpents. Make the serpents forget why they're there, and then convince them to help us murder the monster.
can the question is whether the serpents can separately reason? Maybe they can.
Or they reason as a hive.
But so
It is.
It is a hive mind crack.
Right.
if your power works, you get to dictate what happens in the story.
Right.
I think we should try.
All right. So I emerge in the of the bow of the ship, appearing from the sail.
We forgot you were
And I
there.
as I planned.
Where's Rodrigo?
And I say, I'm here. Just take it up to the top of the mast for no reason. Like, swear to me. No, I don't. So I come to the bow and look down and I say, serpents of the deep. And I assume they all swirl up towards me, 6 million of them. And I'm just like,
You called.
we are not the Spanish Inquisition you're looking for. And so they're all kind of like, I think. We'll see if that happens.
What if there's Pelea ships on the
No, they don't. No, they really don't. Yeah. Wait, exactly. Where's Rachel? No, they don't do that. They don't do that though.
So use this card to describe what they do.
Murder for order. Oh, great. So I think it's working at first, right? And like I'm just like, this is great. And then they're all like, do we have crew besides us on these ships?
Yeah.
I assume. So instead, they're just kind of like, this reminded me of Obra Dinn, actually.
Yeah.
So instead, what happens is they just like swarm past me, and I'm like, and then they like, just like, ah, like, you know, crew members being dragged down, like death everywhere, and I'm just kind of like, this part of the plan. And I just like and I disappear into a piece of
Proceed
coral.
back into the shed.
Yeah, it does not work. The other problem is that now our ship does not have any crew either. So our ship is just
Okay.
We lost the fast.
Yeah, can I turn into like two giant rocks and try and just rip them apart?
You tell me?
Yeah, I'm going
Well,
to.
actually, the deck will tell you.
What is your power?
I kill people.
Oh, you can put them to sleep. You could put them all to sleep.
All to sleep.
Does that work?
You have to drop them.
You have to roll, or you have to.
Ooh.
All right, so
You can
you're
try.
going to jump in front of him and step aside.
No, I'm on the other ship. I'm
right.
Yeah, yeah.
just looking over there. and
From a
being like,
distance, hey! Yeah, just like it.
All right, let's see if you put them
Oh
to
dear.
sleep.
Oh, let's go.
It works.
It fixes it. All right,
Yes,
okay,
there we
okay.
go.
So, Diego, you get to tell us how this works.
All right, so basically, I'm looking on the other ship, and I'm like trying to adjust my cannons to go like into submarine mode, but like that's not working out. And I realized that you're like trying to like Jedi mind trick the face, and that didn't work either. So then I just kind of hover over floating, and I'm like, boop, and then they all fall asleep.
Nice.
Ah, very nice.
Beautiful.
And then we just take aim with the overpowered.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we get off the ship first?
Probably not,
The
right?
man of war just slowly banks to the side.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically now
They all
the
fall
shipping
asleep.
problem has been resolved.
Fixed.
A magic has been used, so you can move on to Act 3 and get back to the issue of trying to fix Senor Kraken.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I figure for an Act 3, and we really have to get the actual Kraken, honest to God,
Yeah.
up here, not his minions, and we need to get or their minions. We need to get them up, and then need to talk to him, her, them about, figuring out. I have a theory about what to do about this, because my thought is this is a good way to screw up Pelea by convincing the Kraken to work against Pelea instead of us. So we
love that
don't
idea.
destroy
They
the
have much
Kraken. We
richer
redirect
waters.
the Kraken, right?
We really don't know anything about its motivation.
True, we have to talk about it first.
Yeah.
If it turns out its motivation is to destroy all political operatives, I'm screwed. So my hope is that that's not, I'm hoping that's not what happens. And optimism.
So as you begin Act 3, Greg, it's your turn to draw a card.
All right. This I'm not trying to match anything, am I?
No.
Even dragons are murdered for their gold.
Yeah.
Hey,
There you
that's
go.
what I got left.
And
Oh,
so
nice.
that is a sangre, and so the inspiration here is drained.
Drained.
Well, we were kind of drained of a lot of our resources being one ship down.
Yep. That's true, actually.
And so, but remember, you use the things that inspire
Now,
you.
yeah. So now, how do we interpret this as the dragon being the Kraken, or the dragon being the kingdoms of Earth, and whatever treasures that it is looking for, it is going to murder the dragons of Earth for their gold, their resources.
Or it's tired of being sought out because it has shipwrecks, right, that
Yeah.
are built into its body that
Yeah.
over centuries, and so it is tired of being hunted for its gold, and basically it's just like I've had enough, and so we're just like, look, we can work this out, man. We can stop those creatures from despoiling you if you address some of our individual problems, right? And then assuming they can buy it, I don't know.
I would like to try and use my power then.
All right.
This is a little bit different. What I would like to try and do is go down on one of the rope ladders off the side of the ship and sort of just sway my hand in the water. And I want to try and touch the part of the Kraken's brain of its desires, its wants, and its hungers. What does it hunger for? So that's what I'm trying to use my power of.
You could be an alien here. If you
It's true.
pull
It's
another-
a 1 in 6 chance.
Less even.
No.
Is that the cry of a dying star? That's a failure.
That's a failure, so...
So you swim down and touch
Tell
the
me
brain
how
of something
you're
else.
dying.
It's just like, damn
Wake
it.
up a giraffe.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Tarrasque brain.
I would say,
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Helmus.
I would say I do touch its mind, but rather than its motivations and its hungers, I see its past. I see the dark depths of the abyss and the
the planes of existence that it originates from, and
It kills you.
Well, you can't.
no,
die.
I would say I go sort of semi-catatonic as I'm seeing sights that no mortal mind is meant to behold, and I fall from the ship.
Okay. And so, like, the way this works is basically you have to be back and available for action in the
Right.
next act, but you can be out for this act.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Okay, so you
So
topple
you have
over.
Man overboard!
and overboard.
Or woman, I don't remember.
Man,
Man, okay, yeah.
And we're not conscious of any of that except that we saw him topple over into the ship, right?
Exactly.
Like he didn't. Okay.
So, you've got a person overboard.
Alright, we gotta save him.
All right.
Take me instead!
Can you create yourself as a large rescue bird?
Oh yeah. Can I just come in talons?
that's a technical term, rescue bird. That's
After
into the kraken infested waters.
probably not a good idea.
over the shrieking eels.
Your Highness. The eagles, exactly.
Oh.
Oh, but you're also an alien, though.
Here's the order of operations.
They're an
You
alien.
become an alien only after you have successfully accomplished your task and moved the plot forward in a positive direction.
Okay. Piety is surrender.
I like that one.
As I see our dear beloved cartographer fall, I will turn myself into a large bird, but I have no wings, or I have no feathers. I'm very slick, so I can like dive deeper to grab you, and with my large talons, I kind of dig into your shoulder and pull you out back onto
Ripping
the
you
As
to
you
shreds.
see me just slowly fading into the water, there's just like blood streaming from my eyes and my nose, and my eyes are just completely inky black
Okay,
as I'm still
11,
touched.
could you
I've still touched the void, and I'm just being.
Also, have I made clear that
So while
Coven
the
Guy
rest-
says hi, Carlos?
What?
Coven Guy says hi.
Hello, hello. So now you are an alien. And so what you're going to do is this. You're like, remember, your agenda is weird. It's not good or bad necessarily.
It's chaotic.
Yeah, it's chaotic. So you're going to look at the card that's in here, and you're going to write down, based on what's happened so far, what the aliens have been observing, what they want.
Okay.
From now on, when you want to, you can hand any of your cards to anybody instead of giving a check. So instead of them drawing from La Baraja, so you could be like, oh, I want Diego to be an alien with me. You can give him a Hueso card that you have and hand it to him. Or you could be like, you know what, I want his thing to fail, so you could give him one of your other cards.
Or succeed.
Yeah, or succeed. So succeed, failure. You can listen to what people, you can be in conversation with people. All of that.
But you have a separate agenda, and we can't see any of it. So go like over there.
All right. So you're going to write down what you think the aliens want. And Kwame knows exactly what you got.
Okay, hold on.
All right. So meanwhile, the story can continue while our alien becomes an alien.
While the
So that
rescue
I'm
is
still
happening.
out for this.
Yeah, you're kind of.
So then I would suggest this is where your time to shine with that getting them out, right? Like, so being able to pull forth. Yeah, I feel good about it this time.
Well, let's
So-
wait for the alien to see if they can make it succeed automatically.
Oh,
Oh, that's true.
okay, that's fair enough. All right, well then we can reset for a moment. So hi people on Twitch. So you're watching a playtest of Carlos Hernandez's Negocios Infernales. I probably pronounced that terribly. Live from Bosk. Yeah, this is an awesome playtested game, and it's Diego and I'm sorry, Kyla, and also Jeremy, and
my wife.
and Rihanna's over here, and Kwame is the alien, and there's Rihanna. And we are inside the Harbor gaming ballroom, basically. So we got video games here, and everything else, and little Arv, and mini Arv over there.
What's the Twitch
and this is
handle?
Arv. It's Arvan Eleron, so it's ARVANELERON. I stream a lot of tabletop, what a shock. A lot of tabletop, but also do video game story and narrative based stuff also. So, and Carlos is in my Esper Genesis game.
Can you give it one more time for her because she's getting her friend to watch?
Oh, sure. ARVAN. Yeah, ARVAN. And then ELERON.
Awesome.
Cool, thank you. And so, yeah, Greg is a great DM. Basically, I want you two to be in conversation with each other after this and just
Lovely.
be friends because you will have great times. You should play in each other's campaigns.
Awesome. All right.
Stuff.
Cool. Awesome.
Psychic Taco. We do silly stuff on Mondays.
Nice.
Yeah, so are you
It's on Twitch?
Yeah.
Psychic Taco?
Yeah.
All right, Psychic Taco. All right, make sure the Psychic Taco. All right. Okay. I'm going to follow that after the stream.
The stress.
Well, I tell you what, you don't have to determine it exactly
Wally can
right
help
now.
you.
You can come back and kind of like listen and kind of like see if you're inspired by people's conversations.
After all, Kwame is a Coretta Scott King winning author.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, yes, I am, actually.
How'd you know?
Now that you mention it.
So we haven't passed anything yet, so we can't advance the plot
You
yet.
can't advance yet, but so like right now, what are you attempting to do?
Followed already.
Technically, I passed.
You got a new follower already.
Oh, you're right.
You did pass, so you could end the act now, but you still have, like you haven't done anything.
We gotta get this cracking up.
Got to get that cracking up.
You can make her succeed.
Possible, I think.
Wait, do you have any two of anything?
Yeah. No.
No, she doesn't.
I have
Yes, you should say.
Jeremy has two of the meat guys.
Yeah.
And then you have two of the bone guys.
And I failed, so I haven't had a chance to. Mine hasn't worked
Kyla,
yet.
what are you trying to do?
I'm gonna see this time if I can, since the Kraken didn't work and the Kraken said the exact opposite of what I wanted, I'm gonna see if I can get some of the babies to come up, the ones that are like newly hatching, to see if they can come up. Because if it's a hive mind, they should be able to translate
I see.
what they're hearing to the lovely mother.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So Alien,
but shouldn't we-
the agenda and what you've seen so far.
Shouldn't we pull out the entire thing so in case he blows, we can blow his brains out?
Well, first of all, what is the lovely mother in Spanish? Because I love that.
The lovely mother?
Yeah.
La Madre Bonita.
La Madre Bonita is the name of our monster,
I
guys.
love
Sorry
it.
about that.
La
Sorry,
Madre
Chad.
Bonita.
I'm going to go ahead and make an NPC card for La Madre Bonita, and I'll show you how that works.
La Mitra Bonita. Dun, 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 dun.
So basically, you have NPCs that people can embody, and especially now that it can reason, somebody might have to play La Madre Bonita. And so in this case, since you're out for this act, you might take on that role, but anybody can play any NPC, and then people can be in discussion with it. You just put the NPC in front of you, like whenever you want to. You can keep adding notes and stuff. As
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So, you can either draw from La Baraja or your alien benefactor might give you a card.
I mean, I guess it's up to you to decide if you give me a card. I have the only one I have is the one on the bottom, the meat one.
Oh, the meat one.
Yeah, and so you would be in conversation with each other, though. You would have to sort of you would embody the alien at this point and be in conversation, possibly expressing your desire.
Or not, to keep them secret.
Yeah. As per
Alien agenda.
Or you could save your meat card and give it to me so you have an extra teammate.
Kind of like that.
So,
yes, I think that's a good idea. Go ahead.
I love it. I love it. Come on.
I just can't draw, guys.
Failures, like any good roleplay, failures contribute just as much as success.
Sure.
the card, just so you know how bad this is, the card says pain is the opposite of thought.
Oh, that's perfect.
Outstanding.
It hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is gonna hurt. So
That's like when you get 3 nat ones.
I've got a feeling.
That
well,
Hey, that's that pain.
A couple of them come up. They don't talk. They try to attack us.
Oh,
You can't die in
They came up with a serpent. The serpent didn't work. The babies are coming, and they're mad.
they're mad.
Can I now try to make them forget what happened?
Oh yeah, yes, you can
Let's do
jump
it.
in immediately.
No.
Okay.
We weren't doing that.
But are you going to do anything as the alien to stop that? Okay.
No.
Oh.
All right. So I emerge somehow on her ship, randomly,
Out of
I don't know nothing.
mast.
God damn it!
We are not as good ones to draw.
Is your purpose to be someone else's meal? Well, it's nice playing with you.
Maybe we just lost another ship.
I do it just this is not, you do not wish to eat her, and they're just like, so it's like,
Take a couple of your fingers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, they did wish to do so.
Just kidding. All a part of the plan.
Okay, well,
Oh my God.
so then you're inside a baby's stomach, and the baby kind of swims back. So now the
Big
Kraken,
baby, I guess.
The Kraken has kidnapped one of our characters.
Yeah. So we got
Uh-oh.
Those all need to be here.
and remember, like you get to kind of like decide how it happens, but like it's just not death, but there are things worse than death. So you can definitely be inside of a Kraken baby for now.
Has anyone actually succeeded in this act yet?
Yes.
Or we did,
Yeah.
you
I
have.
have.
They both have.
In this act, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're in Act 4, right?
No,
Or
we
we're still in Act 3.
we could move
Because I was
on
going to say we
to
could move into Act 4, which
that's failure.
is keeping
Yeah.
saving you from the
Yeah,
inside.
that's a good time,
of a
maybe, to
baby.
say, you know what?
Yeah,
All right.
let's move on.
Let's move on.
All right, so in Act 4,
Save the murderer.
please, for the love of God, creatures are not so bad, is what it says.
Oh yeah, statues have the most lamentable afterlife. Cute.
So it's a vessel,
Yes.
and so you have this to inspire you, and then insult after injury is your
Yeah,
inspiration.
okay.
So they just mock you while you're inside. How's it feel to be in the stomach? I bet you like being digested. You know what's great is when you can't get out of stomach and
You take acid damage.
you take acid damage.
got pretty far in this.
No, exactly.
I'm an alien.
You're an alien?
Yes.
I'm in a
first.
big
I haven't.
stomach.
Yes. I haven't written anything down because I'm not sure. Yes, please.
And I have
Right, so now
shaken
you're
off
just
the
kind of like
void.
shaking up and you're kind of awake now.
Tell
so
us
you're
what happened. Tell us what you
toward-
You gotta tell us what you saw.
This creature is not of Pelea. This creature is from far beyond and much older.
Okay.
From where no mortal man may tread.
And I just want to remind you that you both need one success each in order to win.
Right.
Right.
That's the problem.
No, these.
We got it. It's fine. We have no problem succeeding at all. We're just building up for the great moment. What is your name in game again?
Desi. Or hers?
Mine?
In-game.
You would call me probably Destino.
Okay.
Destino?
I see.
Okay.
I see. Okay, I know.
All right, you got it. Excellent. So, what is happening? We've got insult after injury. We've got somebody. You just woke up. You are in the baby's gut, floating toward the mother.
So I would say, we've lost Destino.
No, we didn't.
Let's move on.
What is our main kingdom called?
The kingdom is called Espada de la Diosa.
I might have an idea, but I'm not
Use
with
your
anyone,
power.
so I'm not sure if
No, use your power
that would
within the
work.
belly.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm heading towards mom right now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I just stabby the baby that I'm in right now.
Or you might have poisons on yourself too.
You can poison from within.
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
Poison
know
from within.
what's gonna. I don't know.
Or you could sacrifice the baby.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
And see what venison comes from you. That's a good
I'm
idea.
sure
I'm really hoping.
And I'm sure the mom will be very happy to
Not
talk to you
right
after
now,
you sacrifice her
right now,
baby. I'm sure it'll go
and
real well.
that the actual
It's like one of a billion.
Yeah.
No, make it go up. Make it go up. Make it
That
go
was
up.
my favorite.
Oh, finally, it's
Yay! There we go. Woohoo!
That's only you. It's all
It's all on me. I know.
This is
I know.
it. So basically,
Great.
so all history will be lost to the unremitting snow.
Oh, I love it.
So what effect does your poison have on this baby that you're killing?
I'm gonna say I'm able.
medicine not connected necessarily.
Not necessarily, but she describes what happens.
Yes.
Well, no, didn't you kill the baby? The baby's already dead.
Yeah.
So then,
And how does
I'm gonna go with I'm able to basically have you seen where they stab from the inside out and they just rip it open? that's kind of what I'm thinking goes down
Right.
here.
Unzip.
It's end of the Mandalorian. Bzzz, like out of the thing.
As I come out, I'm able to breathe it back in the water so that I can swim back over to the Kraken.
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
able to talk to it without having to bring it up because that's failed every time we've tried.
This
Nice.
is a great idea. So,
Morning goes to Christmas
What
future.
a
What's up?
great bonus power.
Woo.
All right, so here you are. You're talking to the Kraken. Who would like to play the Kraken?
I'll play the crack.
Yes.
So you are now the NPC Kraken here.
Okay.
Any notes or anything that you learned you can add to the bottom there?
Do I keep this out this way?
Yeah.
Not my trouble.
Yeah, they discovered the name of the Kraken.
Okay, so I imagine that you come close to the just one.
Yeah,
One
of
eye.
the apparently many eyes, whichever one I'm closest to, I would guess.
Right.
And I will.
I just balefully the one eye, which is 5 times your size. Just the eye, right? Is like
Like
Right.
Lids.
You're nicotinating all over the place.
5 fish die every time it closes. Bones just fly everywhere.
So, I guess I'm gonna try to answer the first question first. Does it reason? We haven't answered it yet because we haven't talked to it. So how do I say this name so I don't butcher it? Because I don't speak Spanish very well.
La Madre Bonita.
La Madre Bonita. So, I'll end up going over to it and I'll say, La Madre Bonita. And I'm gonna, I don't know what to say.
What do you say?
Blink, baleful.
You look great. Is that a new hairstyle?
I love what you've done with the seafloor.
I'll ask it if it can respond back to me at all. So, La Madre Bonita, do you understand?
And you can always pick
And
a
I-
card
so-
to help you, just to figure it out, or just answer.
So I'd say, I understand. And it's rumbling under the seafloor,
We can
right?
feel it on the ship.
Right, you feel it's a slight
Swirling
bubbling,
waves.
right? Somewhere off in our countryside, like a fisherman is like,
What
you know, yeah.
Was that a
By the way, we're reloading the cannon.
Alright.
Fine.
What is your goal in sending your babies to our country?
My babies have been killed by your people. Now it ends. Waves. Meanwhile, De La Sombra is as far into every shadow as he can just
The clouds have begun to darken and there's lightning.
More shadow than
right,
that.
exactly. I'm just like, that's where I live.
What if it was not our people who killed your babies, but the
Chileans.
Chileans?
One of you is the same as the other. All look the same.
Racist.
Just racist squid, whatever.
I mean, most are.
We can stop the killing of your babies. Haven't finished yet.
Rude. Several eels swim around, right?
Don't burn manners down here, I see. Okay.
We can stop the killing of your babies if you move farther away from our shore. We can I am in contact with the controller of the military as well as the queen. We can have them stop and leave your babies alone as long as you move away from our coast.
Create a territory.
And so there's a long pause, and then I do not bargain for my babies. And I do not trust that you can enforce your will. And it's sort of this rumbling kind of moment, and then say, but perhaps one of you
Can die.
one eye tilts upward, right? Could be brought to me. Give up your life, and I will consider it.
I'm gonna recommend we end the act like
Yeah.
right there, and then see what Act 5 brings. Here for your
Actually, it ends with Diego's character. He's just like firing pistols in the water, reloading.
While the cannon is just, you know, like firing it up.
But so Diego, it's your turn to pick
Act 5.
Act 5 here.
Oh dear. Quiet, be still. Do you feel it? The throb.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
And
Hell yeah!
so the inspiration here is tabula rasa.
Clean slate.
Okay, that's great on multiple levels. All right, I dig it. So, all right. So now, tabula rasa is perfect for me creating this forgetfulness, but I need to think about how to get what you're talking about to me, and obviously I'm not the Kraken.
Oh yeah, but you can transfer NPCs and stuff like that.
I know, but I mean just knowledge. Like I wouldn't have the
Yeah, because
knowledge.
none of us know.
I would probably tell it to wait and I will be back with.
Yeah. Or it would have just ejected her, like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll be back with a sacrifice.
So when she does that, the eyes like, like rising upwards. It's like,
what just happened?
okay. All right, so you can swim up, I guess.
So it can reason and it's very mad. Apparently we've been killing its babies. I tried to convince it wasn't us, but we all know full well that it was us. So
They are delicious, to be fair.
I mean,
You're in this too.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Yeah.
Cartographer's not helping here.
it wants basically a sacrifice, and in exchange for a sacrifice of one of us.
I vote we kill him because he hasn't used his power yet.
Yes, he has.
Therefore, we can get around it.
Or
I was thinking.
So you kind of feel like behind your
dress
shoulder,
up one of
fascinating.
our
It's like,
the other sacrifices that I've already used. And we dress up one of them as one of us, and we send it overboard and say, here's your sacrifice.
The problem is, this creature is intelligent, far beyond anything we've encountered before,
Think
But
what
and
he
old.
it said it couldn't tell us apart, and we were all the same.
We can't die, right?
you can die now.
Okay.
Act 5, death
Okay.
is allowed.
I would adventure that because of our, I would be like quietly as the crew's like watching from the back, our special predicament within the court. Those of us might taste a little different than those of them.
I think so.
Interesting.
But if we could also, I'm trying to think,
Force somebody into
I was
trading
gonna
their
say,
soul with the devil.
If fate is on my side again, I could maybe imbue one with the same flavor in a sense. And if your power also worked, you could maybe convince its gluttonous side that this is exactly what it's looking for.
Well, what does the alien think?
But how long will this treaty last? El Cuervo, you've been quiet.
Yeah. I guess my main question out of game is, am I allowed to do sneaky things?
You are allowed to do basically, like, you're in conversation with everybody here, so you would just say, like, my alien is doing a sneaky thing.
Oh, okay.
So, like, they would know that you're doing a sneaky thing. 'Cause
But
you're
their
all-
characters.
But their characters would.
Correct. Okay. So out of game, I'm doing sneaky things.
Okay.
okay.
That's just it. You get nothing else.
So you're not even there?
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm just like sipping a whiskey in the corner, glaring at you all.
Have you no say in this, Cuervo?
You seem like you have it all handled, so please continue.
Thank you for the rescue, by the way.
Yes.
So,
Spy Master.
I vote we kill the Kraken.
Of course you do.
So I from the whiskey glass, you hear sort of a voice bubbling above it, just like, and
I just
says,
like the idea of you just like being in corners, like
exactly.
for no reason.
You know,
Definitely be a Ken Poo.
on the ceiling at some point, like,
Jesus.
from the mast, like whatever. So I say, I like the plan, but I think we're not thinking broadly enough. And he says, who's the one that we're going to bring forward to pretend is one of us? And I kind of look around and I say, you,
Draw straws.
Carlos, over there.
gonna make
and
an
I come,
NPC.
right?
No. His name is Hernan Cortez. We sacrifice him.
Carla, so he, I assume that's a crew member, right? And
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
comes forward, and I'm just like, how would you wish to? Oh yeah, so
For the grace
who's
of
going to
the
play it?
gods.
We need someone to play it.
Diego, you're going to play Hernan Cortez Carlos.
Okay, Carlos, do you wish to serve your country?
Yes, my liege.
Your queen.
Do you wish to live forever? You can do both at the same time.
You will live forever
Alright.
in the breast of your queen and
So
goddess.
he says, excellent. I need you to dress up in this. And I come and I've got this cloak that looks exactly like me. Like it's this thing. It's like dressed, but right. And I'm just like, you will become my
Padawan.
More or less. And so I dress you basically to look as though you've got them like, and then I just sort of take a quick 5-minute montage where I'm like, all right, the first thing to be me is to never be seen at the same time. Right, Ray, look this way. All right, now look. So I'm like trying to teach you how to like look like this. I'm like, go into that shadow. Not that shadow. I'm looking at the shadow. The other shadow. You're like doing all this stuff, right? And it's not particularly convincing, but like I assume. But you know, whatever. You're doing the best you can. So then at that point, I'm like, and now, as I look around at everyone, come with me. So I dive in to the water. So you'd be doing the same thing, right?
Yeet.
All right. So I come down. So I come all the way down with you, sort of like following you down. Like we swim all the way down. I love that all the time we've not even discussed the helmets, like diving suits. No one has any idea.
I have great constitution. I'm just holding my breath for a long time.
All right. I mean, I basically am using. I'm always in shadow, so I basically feel like the shadow is linked from the ship, from the sun shining through the water all the way down, and then I breathe the shadow. That's basically.
Which is done.
As Rutger Hauer said in Blind Fury, that's where I live. So we get to the bottom, to the seafloor, and come over to the big baleful eye. And I can't play myself, so someone else is going to have to play the
I can't do that voice.
La Isla Bonita, whatever it is. Whatever it's called. Padre Bonita. And I say, and with Carlos here, and I say, great spirit of the deep, I say.
Can I have a card?
Oh, yeah. See how it responds.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do my power in a minute, but...
You are not who we bargain with.
Indeed. We have made our decision. You said one of us, great creature, must sacrifice. And I have found one who will do so. He will live forever in you.
And the eye is sort of scared. There's a light pulsing of light that comes over you as the eye shifts over you, and there's through the silt, the silt starts shifting underneath you, and large tentacles and tendrils come up and are sort of caressing around you.
Interpret, my love. Interpret.
That is a funny smile you got there.
Mildly confused, kind of hungry.
Jeez. One of the tentacles goes sort of up the inside the cloak, up to the chin, pushing your head back, and then curves back down and starts going straight down the throat. And you can hear this muted pop underwater as the jaw unhinges.
So as this is happening, for one moment there is a moment of something you will never ever see. It's a moment of remorse that comes over to Sombra's face, and I'm going to try to make him forget that happened.
He wants to make himself
Yeah,
forget.
you're just gonna feel
Not
that.
me. I'm going to try to make him. Oh, what does that mean? What happened?
Fail it.
But that means we all lose?
Not yet. You can keep trying.
Oh, that's true. I can
James.
keep trying. I fail. So I don't... Okay. Then yeah. So I didn't make you succeed. I didn't cause you to forget. I will cause myself to forget. Can I use a power on myself?
You can definitely use it however
All right.
you want.
Because I know you said other powers don't work on others, but
Right.
okay.
Yeah, you're gonna feel that one too.
Wow. The aliens want you to remember it seems.
As this is happening, as you're trying to make it forget, you're touching its mind, the eye shifts back over to you.
I was trying to make him forget, but I actually haven't made... Oh. I haven't made the Kraken try to forget yet, have I?
Well, how is your failure happening in plot?
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, so not only do I not forget, I am actually now have it burned into my memory, kind of this tentacle going down into his body, which is creating this sense
Slightly
of...
terrifying.
I was already had a little bit of remorse. Now I feel sort of terrified, shocked, not unlike how your character was things man was not meant to know. This things man was not meant to see. And so I would say that I'm not Batman at the moment, right? And I'm not like in the shadows all the time. I'm kind of like just sort of constantly...
You feel seen.
I'm not slick. Yeah. I feel seen. So I will try one last time. Can you keep doing that?
Until she's out of cards, technically she can.
Okay. I will try to make the Kraken forget.
Yeah, you're gonna feel that one too.
Oh no!
Okay, I
Come back
will.
up, restart. So these cards go back into the deck at this point.
Okay.
But you get to narrate how you fail.
Well, I assume that the Kraken does
Kraken
not.
smacks
Yeah,
you
basically,
up.
I was going to say the Kraken. Yeah, so the Kraken is just like while consuming you or doing whatever the hell it's doing with you, basically shoots me up, so I go flying out of the water and land unceremoniously on the dock of the deck of the ship, just kind of like scrambling to my
Wait, you
feet.
guys are
like,
all
kind
on
of-
my ship now because your ship is like.
Oh yeah,
We have the
that's right.
Marathon.
That's right. So I just kind of am like rolling around, like we need a new plan. That doesn't work. Plan didn't work. This is bad. I don't, so completely like just stumbling through my words.
I'm gonna.
You know.
I was gonna say, can I try something again?
Yeah.
All right. I want to try to make a duplicate of myself, and then put that down for the Kraken to eat.
That
So
would be
it's like
terrific.
me, but not.
That's a heck of a bonus task. Or so you sacrifice something.
And it works.
Nice. Okay.
So describe how it works
All
using
right.
the card.
Live long enough for better stars.
Ooh, that's a good card.
Oh, that's a great card.
All right, so seeing you come flying out, and obviously the not okay NPC that is now dead, not having him not come back up.
You got that right.
I'm just gonna casually walk over to one of the other guys and just slit his throat because I don't care at this point. We're all gonna die, or one of them's gonna die. So, as I cut his throat off, or not cut his throat off, cut his throat, from my other side, like if I'm facing this way, from the other side, another me extends from the back, kind of like when somebody invokes duplicity, they just split.
Right.
It's like that.
Right.
Mitosis, except it's a physical form. It's another me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like linked telepathically.
Right.
And I'm gonna send my duplicate back down to talk to the Kraken again.
Okay.
So
And that as a successful thing, that you could end the act, and the epilogue could be what happens down there.
You could
No,
be,
no,
but
no,
like
no.
right now,
Although,
you
but I
have
haven't used my power yet.
All right, okay.
I keep
use
trying.
my power to kill you.
I really
and
want
you have to agree to it.
No, he's his power.
But I haven't used my power. You can.
But like I can just kill him off, and then it doesn't count.
No. If you
'Cause
kill
I-
him off, you still lose because he still has
You could
his
threaten to
power.
kill me. I could make you forget. Have that
Yeah.
fail again.
There you go.
you could make
Yeah.
me forget me dying.
So at this
Oh.
point,
Well, but wait. It's your double that's dying, right?
But they're linked,
Because
mentally linked.
Yeah, because so she would remember all
Right.
of it.
Okay. This is interesting.
And so you could help her forget that
So
trauma.
I'm just going to say, like, we
I am
basically
this
have
way.
about 2.5 minutes to wrap up before we have to go to our next panel.
Okay.
So I would love to see just sort of like a story-like conclusion, and I don't want to leave you all sort of like right at the precipice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I was going to do from the deck, but I don't know if the alien will allow it. But I was going to, from the deck, try to cause, you to forget the fact that you just sent yourself down to
And
sacrifice.
the alien can help you succeed too. I'll just point that out as well. But
Yeah, but it's
You're
a.
right, okay.
So I will try to do that.
Alright.
I have a backup plan in case that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You succeed.
All right. So just from the deck, kind of covered in, dripping wet, like pathetically, I'm just kind of like, forget, it never happened. It never happened. And I just kind of wave it in your direction, which for a change, when I'm not being super slick guy, works. And so I would say that your last memory is kind of the pleasant ocean waves in front of you before you black out entirely. And I assume the Kraken then takes the sacrifice, although I don't know if that's true.
because you get to narrate that.
So and I would say the Kraken sort of takes the sacrifice, the sea's still, and all of a sudden the sea for a moment is just mirror glass, right? Just no waves at all. And then there's a little tremor, and then the waves return, the sea returns to normal, which would be the end of the act, I think.
Yeah, it would be the end of the act and the success of the game. So at this point, you will have succeeded in turning back. So I'm sorry to hurry the ending.
No, that's fine.
You would basically be able to narrate in the epilogue how all of these elements have come together and the Kraken is removed. You end with the Queen again,
And I'd love to
that's
hear
your
Ree
thing.
from Ree really quickly at the end, just because I'm curious.
Well, yeah, and so what the alien agenda is.
Right, what was the alien
The
agenda?
alien agenda card was the weak command people, the wise command ideas. And I said, Espada becomes a hive mind, down with all queens.
Oh, interesting. So
Okay.
you were rejecting his attempts to forget because
you're going to become a part of this, friend.
yeah, exactly. You're a hive
Outstanding.
mind, and
Yeah.
so-
All right.
right.
That fits.
You've been seeded. Both of the people that went down have been seeded with the hive mind.
So that is basically the game as it plays. Love to have feedback.
It's
What you thought?
great.
It's, yeah.
That's really good.
Had a good time. I mean, it seemed like it was flowing really well.
Yeah.
Like the action flowing well.
Yeah,
That's great.
The only part was the beginning, but that's because we didn't know. So then
Yeah, so you're just like learning the game.
And I love the
card aspect.
the cards.
The cards are great.
Because it's more of a suggestion.
Yeah, it's
as
minor
opposed
enough.
To, like, you have to do this.
It's minor enough that it doesn't it push you directly in a specific sense, but it's poetic enough that it opens up and allows your brain to sort of take over the inspiration.
Yeah, which is literally the goal. It's literally meant to have that kind of like tarot, mystical kind of experience there.
Right. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of throwing a lot of obvious lore so that you're really setting the scene for this court and what it looks like will really help. So as long as that's there, I think that will really help a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the things we found was that sometimes lore is helpful and sometimes it's too limiting. Like I don't want people looking things up too much.
No. But I mean, right. But I think you have to establish the idea that the court of Spain, what that means at the time. You know what I mean? Like it's very over the top and constantly obsessed with death and mortality and all these kinds of things.
Yeah,
so that people just kind of lean into it.
yeah.
I would say.
So like, yeah, if it's a 96-page rule book, I was thinking like about 48 of those pages will be devoted to the lore.
Yep.
You know, basically to get people in the mood and then let them forget about anything that doesn't fit in any individual game. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when I had a chance to play this last time, I see that more development has been done, which is kind of neat to see how that stuff works out. I wondered, the one thing I wanted to suggest was, this was just because of the way things broke down, but the continual alien failure strikes me as slightly, I don't mean to say overpowered because we're all working together, but I could see that could become disruptive if like you get to the end and all of a sudden you're like, Jesus, I just need to succeed, and it's like, and I totally understood why that was being done, but I'm wondering if there isn't a limit on how many alien things can play at a time. You know, if they want to disrupt twice, I don't know about disrupting like 4 times in a row or whatever.
Probably be a limit on how many times you can attempt to do the exact same thing back to back, the same person.
Yeah, that's right.
Like maybe if you fail, somebody else has to attempt to use their power before you can attempt to use.
Oh, that's a good. Sure.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea too.
I had this idea. If shit went sour, I was going to try and attempt to make all the babies start eating the mother and like give bias a little bit more time.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So.
Yeah. This
a good idea.
playtest was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good stuff.
First time we've ever done all 5 acts. It's the first.
Yay! We got it done.
It was
Huzzah!
about like a 2-hour experience, even with learning.
It would have been out 2 hours and 10 minutes if you had a chance to do fully.
Which
So it's
also I
pretty
think
close.
is a great game night. I think that's a good game
Yeah.
night.
It's 1 hour and 54 seconds.
Wow, nice.
That's right. That's right.
So-
It could be longer.
So many options that
What
you
did you
can
think,
do
chat?
more for each act.
Exactly.
Chat, what did you think? Did you like it? What did you think? Chat says chat is waiting. Seems interesting. I like it.
Now.
This is a new one in my. I didn't know this game. That's because it's not out yet. So you're right, Barney. It's being play tested. All right. Well, thank you, chat. What I saw of it was fun. Cool. So, all right. So we will let Carlos get off to their panel. But
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, chat.
When you print your second version of it, I'll take your old version.
Exactly.
You got it, man.
All right. Bye, chat. See you soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you, players.
Chat. Everybody.
Bye, chat.
Great playtest. Really enjoyed that. Thank you, Paul.
Carlos, just wrap it up.
Yeah. So the playtest